Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, Peter, you sent me something very interesting today. This is an ad that is being run by the RNC, and it's a very, very strange ad. It's obviously an attack on Biden. The thrust of the attack is that Biden is, of course, a tool of Russia. And people really should take a look at it because you have Tchaikovsky, very good music. You know, I think it's from the Nutcracker. And while this music is playing, a woman is speaking in a thick Russian accent.
Like Natasha and Boris.
Thank you, Mr. Biden, because of you, we have natural gas. And we are very happy. And you in America, you don't have any gas. So we are very, very grateful. So it's a bizarre take. It's something we've already talked about, how the Republicans have decided to out-mad Rachel Maddow herself and present themselves as even more rabid on the subject of Russia than were the Democrats during the Trump years. I mean, I guess, they still fantasize about 1984, because in 1984, if you remember, during the Ronald Reagan re-election campaign, the Republicans ran that famous "The Bear in the Woods" ad, regarded by all political junkies as the greatest TV ad ever. But the strange enough, if you look back at that "Bear in the Woods" ad, it raised a mystery as to what was the intent of the bear. I mean, the bear looked fierce and looked menacing, but the commentator said, well, the bear may be benign or he may be malign. We don't know exactly what he wants, but while we don't know, it's best to carry a gun. That was the thrust of that ad. This just seems to present Russia completely malign, although done in a humorous way, because there are pictures of Russian food, herring, gherkins. But it is so bizarre that the Republicans think that this is an effective
Russian workers on the
Russian workers. Vodka, give me vodka.
The reason why I sent it to you, because I think this is poison. It's absolute poison, and shame on the GOP for doing it, because the Democrats invented the Russiagate hoax, and now the Republicans are picking up the mantle and they're transforming it into a cudgel, and it's very, very dangerous. What it does is they're using the Russiagate hoax that the Democrats used against their beloved president, Donald Trump, and now they're using it as a cudgel to poison all American foreign policy. It's shameful. It so has the lack of any kind of foresight. And what it does is that it embeds the hoax into the DNA of the body politic. And so it's going to stay with us forever. It's always going to be a point of reference. And again, going back to the summit, which, I think most people got it wrong. George and I have basically come to the conclusion it was pretty mundane and boring, and that's a good thing. Okay, maybe there was putting a line in the sand and say we don't want things to get any worse. It doesn't mean they're going to get any better anytime soon, but they're not going to get any worse. Okay, and if it's Joe Biden or Jake Sullivan or Tony Blinken, I can live with it and it's fine. I'm about policy. I could give it a hoot about these personalities, but the RNC is digging a hole, and they're going down a rabbit hole.
Well, they're digging a hole themselves precisely because when you think of Biden's policy, we obviously don't have much time for Biden, but insofar as Biden seems to be pursuing a kind of a prudential policy when it comes to Russia, as a kind of common sense, hey, we really don't need to be at each other's throats. That's going to go down well among the American public. And the alternative, yes, let's be at each other's throat. No one's going to do that. I mean, it was that idiot Romney in 2012 who made that nonsense about, Russia is an existential threat to the United States. And it allowed Obama, the ghastly Obama, to play the condescending, hey, the 1980s are calling, they want their foreign policy back. It gave them this opportunity. Obama didn't deserve this opportunity, but thanks to Romney's idiocy, he got it. And so again, the RNC are walking right into the same trap that Romney walked into.
Yeah, and we know, how did Trump phrase it? It would be good if we had good relations with Russia. I mean, again, no, that's a short sentence. There are not a lot of big words. There are no big words. It's easy to understand. And so what you want to do is you want to sully Biden's foreign policy by calling him pro-Russian. Well, what you're doing is not in the national interest. Russia will, when we just did a video on it, Russia will just say, we tried, we're not going to let things get worse, but we got other places, we got other things to do. Okay.
But there's also stupidity underlying that Republican thing, because I think it's perfectly reasonable to criticize Biden for canceling the Keystone Pipeline. I mean,
Sure.
it's a stupid decision. But what's that got to do with Nord Stream 2? That has nothing.
Zero.
I mean, they're confounding two completely separate issues. So
and when Hannity started going down, I just said, huh? What do they have to do with each other? They have nothing to do with each other at all.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The only thing they have in common is it's a pipeline.
There's a pipeline, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think America should, produce energy and make money from its energy sales and be energy self-sufficient. All of that, I think, is perfectly right. But what the hell's that got to do with any business deals between Russia and Germany?
See, what is being normalized? What is being normalized? This is the most important takeaway. What is being normalized is that if you the Russia mythology now is the indicator of a loyalty test, okay? And so it has, again, nothing to do with Russia. Russia is just this object that they're all fixated on, and it's a litmus test.
Right.
And it is so very destructive. It doesn't move the needle anywhere. I can tell you, the Russians are saying, "What is going on with these people here? You can't talk with these people. Are unreasonable."
That's right. There's also an interesting aspect of it. Why is it acceptable to start talking in these thick, phony Russian accents and to make fun of Russians? I mean, imagine if people are speaking in phony Japanese accents or Chinese accents. I mean, racist, and whatever. Or you started imitating Nigerians. I mean,
ghetto talk.
Yeah,
ghetto talk.
Exactly. Why is it acceptable to put on these thick Russian accents in order to make fun of Russians? And it's amazing, kind of, apparently you can always be racist when it comes to Russians. It used to be about the Serbs as well. I guess people have lost interest in the Serbs. And back in the 90s, it was the Serbs. But you can be as racist as you want when it comes to the Russians.
Yeah. And there's no self-awareness of it.
Right. Yeah.
Again, we've looked at all of the legions of Russiagators out there. Have any of them suffered career-wise for their very malign and I think intentionally without any kind of moral fortitude? Have they suffered anything? No, at all. I mean, Jake Sullivan is a Russiagator. Okay.
Right.
Fiona Hill. I mean, she's featured on I think the Sunday programs. Okay, another Russiagator.
Yeah, you're right. Jake Sullivan was a prime mover of Russiagate, and the number of the people in the Justice Department were now pursuing Trump, and all the people who worked for Trump, they were all Russiagators. No question. None of them has suffered anything.
So the Republicans took the wrong lesson. Is that, it worked for the Democrats, maybe it can work for us. No, it was wrong in the first place, and it's wrong now.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely wrong. Politically disastrous. But even when you look at the ad, when you're listening to the Tchaikovsky music, you're like, hey, this is pretty good. I mean, so it even undermines its own rationale, because Russians seem to be pretty nice. I mean, I don't know, you eating herring, listening to Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, well, I've lived here for 22 years, and I find it so condescending.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, there's a kind of a tourist street. It's called Stary Arbat, in the center of Moscow, and they have all the souvenir shops, and and you can buy bears, and you can buy the fur hats and all that, and it's all quiche. Okay, everybody knows it. It's for the tourists and all that. But other than that, that video has nothing to do with everyday life in this country for everyday people in this country. And and they have seen it too, and it just shows how can we communicate, deal with people that have fundamentally misunderstand who we are and what we are.
That's right. And then if you look at American politics, they're also misreading the Republican voters. I mean, if you think about the Republican voters, what they think. I mean, always worth, whether you agree with Steve Bannon or you don't agree with Steve Bannon. Bannon has his finger on the pulse of the GOP voters. I mean, every aspiring Republican wants to get onto Bannon's podcast. They do not give a damn about Russia. Absolutely, they couldn't give two hoots. The only people who talk about Russia are the Lindsey Grahams, Mitch McConnells, and that Republican Party establishment that Mitt Romney spoke for. They're the only ones who are impressed by it. Ordinary Republican voters would be completely unimpressed by this.
Whatever Republican operative decided to come up with that ad, he or she is a buffoon, because if you want to go on the campaign trail in 2022 and say Joe Biden is a Putin puppet, people are going to laugh at you. Going to laugh at you. Yeah. I mean, everyone is a puppet, apparently. Everyone. Okay. I mean, it's gotten so thin and so stupid. Yeah. And that operative, I hurt the GOP because it shows them to be mindless, they're uninformed, and intensely prejudiced. Okay. I mean, I think it's the stupidest ad I've ever seen in my life. Yes. That's right. That's why I sent it to you. I was aghast.
Oh, that's right. But
is it from The Onion? Is it from The Onion? Is it Babylon Bee?
You're right.
What a fundamental misreading.
Yes, yeah, no question. But that thick Russian accent. I mean, that's just.
Well, everybody.
It's worth the price of admission alone just to listen to that. In Russia,
If you ever want a good single reason, easy to come to mind reason why I hate the GOP, it's that ad.
Right. All right, Peter, where can we be found?
We can be found, first of all, I have to talk about Buddy's tip jar. You know that, okay? And where's that tip jar? It's at our locals page, and it's thegaggle.locals.com, and the tip jar is there. And I keep my eye on it because I know George is spying it day in and day out.
That's right. I'm very unhappy with Buddy helping himself to more than
he does. Oh, he's very generous with himself. Okay.
We're also on Rumble. Look us up there. And remember, if you like the Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.